This is Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this next episode of the interview with a lockpicker. Today's guest is HVLogic. Say hi.
Hello, it is I.
So, where are you from?
So I'm in Australia, Melbourne, Australia. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
we had an interesting time figuring out our times and lining all that up, especially with daylight savings time messing things up on us. But
yeah, and then we're in daylight savings time, and then you go into it at a different time than we do.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, that's been a real problem trying to organize things in the past between me and Canada. Because yeah, the daylight savings you would think would be at the same time, but they're not.
yeah.
Makes it a real mess.
So, how and when did you get into locksport?
I got into Lockwoods right at the start of COVID, like just before it started, just by chance. And then, like, obviously, that was a convenient thing to be doing during COVID, though I was still at work all the time anyway.
Yep.
I just got started because I had some downtime at work, and the YouTube algorithm recommended me a lockpicking lawyer video. And I thought, oh, yeah, I'll click on that and see what that's about. And then I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. And so I watched like a ton of those over like a month and bought a pick set after that, just because too much time where I wasn't doing anything.
So, what was that pick set?
That was just a Banggood set, just cheap. The hook set. There was a lockpicking lawyer video where he recommended that one for beginners, which is not great advice, but it did the job for long enough for me to realize that was something I wanted to actually do and invest in some better tools. Um, the Banggood set was it's fine. They're very fat. They bend very easily.
I've often wondered how many people got into lockpicking because of the YouTube algorithm and having LPL suggested to them. Watched a ton of videos, started to actually learn about it, and then moved on to other YouTubers after that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of lockpicking lawyer anymore, like at all. I think he's there's some problematic stuff there, but we don't need to go into that. But yeah, it definitely is 100% the reason I got started was watching, some of his videos and like plowing through his back catalog. Um, well before, we started with his business and covert companion and stuff. But in the
Yeah.
earlier days, it was just there's some really interesting stuff in there. Um, so yeah, watching huge amounts of that when I started, and then discovering other people like Lockknoob and stuff as well, um, which were better,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, different.
Lock noob for me, helpful lockpicker, Bosnian Bill.
Yeah, I was never a fan of Bosnian Bill, but I don't know, just his style didn't mesh with me. I think.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So, talk a little bit about. So, before we jump into what I was going to jump into here, you moved from Banggood to another set of picks. What did you move to?
yeah, so early on, the first sort of proper set of picks I bought was the set of multi-pick, the dual gauge elite ones, which was like a reasonable investment, but I figure, may as well buy the best tools instead of buying a medium ones and then still wanting better ones. I had the money, so I bought the good ones. So I used multi-pick for a long time, exclusively, and really like them. They make excellent picks. I really only use a couple of theirs now, though, as my like pick selection has increased over time. I've got about 6 or 7 lock picks that I use for like everything, and they're a very eclectic mix of couple of different custom ones, some multi picks, some more lock tools, Moki half diamond. What else have I got? They're the main ones. Yeah, a collection of stuff now. But yeah, early on, multi pick was what I settled on after the Banggood, and they served me very well.
Okay. Um,
Same for the multi pick, the flags as well. I bought a full set of those, which were not cheap, but they were really, really good. I just find the handles are a little bit small for my hands,
yeah.
and
Me too.
picking for more than about 10 to 15 minutes, I really get like strong hand fatigue. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, they're not great for that. But if you have smaller hands, perfect.
That's exactly the same problem I've had with multi picks, dimple picks. I've had to come up with ways to make the handle a bit wider to.
I actually, yeah, just have one that I've put like 30 wraps of electrical tape around,
Okay.
which looks terrible because they're such a beautiful pick, and then it's just got this big fat wad of tape on it. But it makes them so much nicer to use.
I use pencil grips.
Yeah.
Yep. Um,
Barebones lockpicking actually made a handle you can clamp over top of them. So I've got those on a couple of mine now as well.
who?
Barebones lockpicking.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, you're talking
Yeah.
about the cover, the handle covers. Yep.
Yeah, so I use them on some of my multi-pick flags now too.
Okay. All right. So as far as the community goes, can you talk about your involvement in it? As far as what you wound up finding first, and then what you eventually went to.
Yep. So yeah, I started well, obviously with the YouTube, looking at lockpicking and lore, and then for any hobby that I'm getting interested in, generally it's a good idea to there'll be a Reddit subreddit somewhere that's usually not bad. So I went looking for one of those, found the lockpicking subreddit. Looked at a lot of that for a while. Didn't bother to apply for any belts, just through the Reddit. I think I applied for maybe green belt on Reddit once I'd filmed a video for that. But I didn't really post much on the Reddit. I just I read it and lurked a bit. And then eventually at about blue belt, I found the Discord and thought I should probably click on this and find out what this Discord thing is, and found LPU that way, obviously.
Yep.
And LPU was like night and day difference from the Reddit. Just a wealth of information there, and really welcoming. So much information. It's just so helpful being able to ask a question and get immediate answers and feedback. Just the engagement there was way, way, way better. I strongly think that if I had not found the Discord early, I probably would not have hung around past about blue belt.
Okay.
There was really a lot of inspiration there to get into higher security locks.
Okay, and you're a black belt now, correct?
Yeah. So I'm a fourth dan black belt.
Okay. Can you talk about what your overall journey was like? I mean, so you got up to blue, and from what you described, you probably would have just stayed there if it hadn't been going to Discord.
I suspect without Lockpickers United there, I probably would have peaked at blue belt. Would have just picked a few locks at that level. That's about the level of locks you see sort of out and around. But I'm picking the ones that are out and around. But you get inspired by just to know I could pick one of those. So blue belt's about the level where you stop seeing things in the wild mostly. And yeah, past that it became harder to source things. But the Discord made it much easier to buy more locks, find more locks.
Yeah.
More interesting, more complicated. So from never picked a lock before to black belt, I think took me 8 months. I feel like I probably could have shaved off about 2 months out of that journey if it wasn't for really delayed shipping times in the early COVID window. But 8 months is still pretty quick. I definitely focused in on it. It took a lot of practice, a lot of work. My second black belt lock I picked, the ASA exclusive, took me I think about 50 hours to learn that lock.
Wow.
Of dedicated focus on just that one, and so that was a big moment getting that one picked. And then after that, I'd picked some of the other ASA twin locks. Now the next one I picked after that was the V10, which took me about 3-4 hours to pick. Having picked the exclusive, that learning really carried through. But that first one, big effort required.
So the skills you learned picking the earlier ASA was helpful going into a new one. Yeah. Okay.
Just getting better attention control and placement, and really honing in those skills. Once you can do it once, you can do it again. It's just a matter of building them in the first place, which takes a lot of time. I think that's the main thing. It takes its time.
So your approach to learning locks, can you talk about that a little bit?
So I mean, typically if I'm picking a new lock, or especially as I was building up more in skill, I would first research about the lock, what mechanisms does it have, how is they meant to be picked, or what is the general ways, and then just give it a go, I guess. I did a lot of progressive pinning of things, so you just put in part of the elements, make it easier on yourself, and build up to the higher level. That one I spent 50 hours on, like that wasn't 50 hours with it fully assembled, just going at it, getting nowhere. That was a lot of like, all right, I've got 2 pins in and I can pick those reliably. And then putting in 3, and then, all right, now I can pick that reliably. And then, putting in a couple of the side pins and then working those out. And then like a lot of back and forth, really building it up until it's a whole lock. And then once you've picked one of that style and you've built the skill set, then you can, on the next one you pick of the same model, you won't need to go through that whole process again. You'll be able to just pick it blind. Like I pick a lot of challenge locks, and I pick all of those blind on camera generally, unless they're really hard. Sometimes they take more than one attempt, but often I do them in one go. But you don't start with the ability to do that. That's hard to do, is pick things totally blind. So I've always been in favor of like, get as much information as you can, make it easy on yourself. Until you can do it properly.
I think that
do it properly.
I think the LPU Belt Explorer should help people with that quite a bit too. So
yeah, I think it will. I mean, that obviously didn't exist when I was starting.
Yeah, no kidding.
There was ranking and stuff, but it looks like an excellent tool. I think that'll be really helpful.
Yeah. So in our pre-interview, you talked a little bit about Lockwoods. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, being Australian, we love Lockwood. If you are Australian lockpicker and you don't love Lockwood, you're like banned. You have to. It's mandatory. Everybody does.
It's a requirement.
It's a requirement. If you really hard buy lock, that's maybe allowable. You're allowed to like them instead of Lockwood, I guess. But like still, Lockwood they're the peak. They're not actually like the highest security or anything, but they're just so beautifully made. We really like them. So I have many. In fact, since we last spoke, I've acquired about 25 kilos of more Lockwood locks for free.
How
nice.
many do you have overall, would you estimate?
I honestly, I don't know, a couple hundred.
How many?
Probably a couple hundred. I mean, I'm not intending to keep all of them. Some of them I'll like move on to, newer pickers or whatever to learn with, move them on cheap. A lot of them I got for free, like ex-service locks from work. Just not needed anymore. Haven't been used in 30 years. They've just been sitting on a shelf. So good tools for people to learn. But yeah, I've got a lot. I've got a little pyramid of the Lockwood 334 B45 stacked up there, various things in them. Lots of Lockwood. I picked a lot of Lockwood videos too.
I would say your Lockwoods are comparable to, in the U.S., the Master Locks, but that would be, I think, insulting the Lockwoods.
Everywhere. And when you go into like the local hardware store, the two of them are sold side by side.
Yeah.
And oddly, Master Lock are more expensive than Lockwood, and they're a far inferior product. Unfortunately, they've done an excellent job of marketing because everybody thinks they must be better, and they're really just worse in every conceivable way.
I think if you want a lock that can take a beating, okay, great. Master Lock can cover you there with some of their models, but as far as the actual core, forget it.
The Lockwood ones take a hell of a beating too.
Oh no, I love my Lockwoods. I don't have very many, but I love my Lockwoods. Okay. So
yeah, people tend to. They're very nice. They make a good product. Even like not a Master Lock, but even like your American 1100, like the build quality on that has got nothing on the Lockwood ones.
Oh no, you're 100% correct there.
So we tend to feel a bit spoiled in Australia because we come from the Lockwoods, and then you start as a beginner picker, you pick up some of them. You pick the Lockwood 334 B45 for Blue Belt. It's like the classic lock, and then you start branching out into the world wanting to pick other things, and then often there's a level of disappointment. Where everything else you pick just doesn't feel as nice. You're like, oh, why is this so crap? I spoiled. I just didn't realize.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that we got a chance to talk about your challenge locks. Do you mind talking about those a little bit?
Definitely. So that's another thing. I built one for Blue Belt, obviously, which was fine. I enjoyed making it, but it was fine. And then I really wanted to learn from what I did in the first one and made a better one. I called the Demon Core. There's a picture I posted on Reddit once. I called it the Demon Core. I put engraved pentagrams onto it. On the top of every key pin was a little mini pentagram, on the top of it.
Yep.
as well as the like the actual the carvings and whatever to make them interesting. And then I posted a picture on Reddit of all of my lock picks arrayed out in a pentagram, with some candles going and the lock in the middle. As a like, who wants to go? So that was a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Um, and then I really like challenge locks. I've picked about nearly 200 of them now on camera, and I've made about 10. Um, I haven't made one for a little while now, but I should get back in and make another one. But I really like making themed ones.
Me
So
too. I agree with you 100% there. That adds so much more fun, I think, to whoever's receiving it.
yeah, I mean, like there are a lot of challenge locks that are just generically difficult, which there's
Yep.
definitely nothing wrong with that. I've enjoyed many locks that are just generically difficult, but the ones that have got some kind of theme to them, I always find to be a bit extra special.
Yeah.
So I did one as an example. It's I called it Strike, and it's full of pins that look like bowling ball pins. And then I handmade a ball bearing out of brass rod, which is not easy to do. And then like tiny engraved the little finger holes in it, and that sits on top of one of the key pins.
Oh
Does it add
my.
a lot of difficulty? No, but it's cool. Uh,
That's cool.
yeah, so that was one I did. I did another one I called High Voltage, where it's got pins in it that are supposed to look like high voltage insulators, like you see on power lines and stuff.
Hmm.
And then on the outside of that lock, I wrapped it in copper and then like dipped it in resin and sealed it so it looks like it's a like a winding or something.
That's cool.
So it's themed.
Very cool. So you've got quite a channel going. Can you talk about your YouTube channel? What got you started in it, and what made you decide to go the direction you did with your channel?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely when I started lockpicking had never any intention of starting a YouTube channel. It just sort of happened. I mean, I did the first few videos were just for belts, um, so they were not like high quality, but they were fine. And then it's just like, well, it's more fun when you pick something to film it and have evidence that you actually did it. So then I just started filming things more and more, and then it just built over time. Did a 100 subscriber giveaway video. Then I had 250 subscribers. I think I'm at just about 800 now. I think I'm over 800. Let's
Yeah.
quickly check.
Yep.
Take 1 second. Loading. Oh my god, come on. 791.
Yep.
So nearly 800.
Yeah.
Just build over time. Lots of challenge lock videos.
Yep.
And then I try and be helpful on the videos too. I've got a bunch of different videos that are like, here's how you do a thing. Like I did a how to gut Eurolocks video. That one's been very popular. I see that get linked regularly. And another one that's about like C-clips, how to take off every kind of C-clip I could find on my shelf in one video. That's been helpful for a few people. Sometimes they're very stubborn.
No kidding. I did a video on how to replace it while you're doing progressive pinning with a O-ring. Yep.
Oh yeah, yep, it's a good idea.
So, not that you need it, but I have a shout out coming up here soon for your channel. So,
yeah, it's been a bit slower of late. At one point I was uploading 5 videos a week, sometimes even 7. But that has slowly been coming back down to a much more sustainable level. I'm more like 1 video a week now, but I'm definitely one to two. Definitely still publishing things. Have no intention of stopping. But yeah, I do not have as much time to be doing 5 videos a week anymore.
oh no, but
You run out of luck.
yeah, but there's a wealth of resources in the videos you do have up already. So,
It's not like you have to keep only watching the new stuff. There's a whole back
exactly.
catalog there.
Yep.
And I always try, anytime I'm picking a lock, I try and fill it with as many tips. Or if you're picking one, the things to look out for, the things that I'm like, even if it's just like a longer one, it took a long time and I've ended up time lapsing through a bit of it. At the end, where I've like pulled it apart and I'm like, that's what was holding me up. There's the like explainer tips. Like, I think I just wasn't lifting number 2 up high enough, and that's why, why I wasn't getting it open properly. Like I try and fill it with as much of that as possible. So yeah, I think they're worth watching the back catalog. I'm a bit biased, but
Okay. So, real quick, what do you use to do your audio and video editing for your channel?
Yeah, so I edit everything with DaVinci Resolve, which is like a free program, but it's a proper professional level program. Like people do make whole movies with it. Um, they like make their money selling hardware, so the software they just give away for free. So it's really good. It is not easy to learn because none of it is intuitive. There are so many buttons. You can do everything, but like for lockpicking, you don't need to do a lot. I just trim a little bit off the start of the video, a little bit off the end, so you don't see that like camera wobble, and then I like tighten up the audio. I actually put out a video on exactly what I do for both of those. It shows my filming setup, shows my exactly what I do for the audio editing, which is really I just like built a template over a weekend, worked out how it makes everything sound better on average, and then I just apply that and then publish basically.
Okay.
But yeah, DaVinci Resolve. I would recommend it. It's very good.
Okay.
It'll do everything you ever want.
All right. So, last question before we wrap up. Can you talk a little bit about the Australian lockpicking Discord server?
Yeah, so I founded that. When I started on the Discord, there were only like 4 Australians at all. And then it slowly, there were a few more turned up. And then I thought it'd be handy because we're so isolated from the rest of the world to have a place just for organizing like trades, local sales, swapping challenge locks, just, a local Australian place to have that information. And then from there, it just built. So there's about 160, nearly 200 members now. Obviously, they're not all active members, but there's a lot that's become a really useful like side community to Lockpickers United. Pretty much everyone's a member of Lockpickers United as well, but it's really helpful having an Australian only place to discuss, things that mostly only affect Australians. So yeah, I started that. It's been going really well. If you are an Australian and you're listening, just like find me on somewhere and I'll send you an invite.
Awesome. So yeah. Is there anything you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap up?
Other than subscribe to my channel.
Yeah.
No, nothing especially, but yeah, HVLogic. I'm on the YouTube. One day I need to get to 1,000 subscribers. I've been lazy and have not been pushing, but it would be nice.
No, there'll be a link to your channel in the description for this video, so people can find you directly from there. Getting to have a chance to talk with you has been fascinating. There's so much more that we didn't even get to get into in the interview, but maybe at some point you'll agree to do a part 2.
Of course.
Okay, because you had more stuff that I would have loved to get to dive more into, but thank you for this. This has been great, and there's a lot of other stuff that's not Locksport related that I learned from talking with you. So, all right. Well, with that, if you are currently a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and all, and hit like on this video. It really does help us YouTubers out with the wonderful YouTube algorithm. And with that, thank you for listening in.